بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. Today's khutbah, brothers and sisters, is about knowledge and seeking knowledge. And this couldn't come at a better time than now, at the beginning of the new school year, the beginning of the academic year. So perhaps this will help to benefit and remind the teachers and the students, and of course all of the Muslims, as the Prophet ﷺ said, seeking knowledge is obligatory upon every single Muslim. And the meaning of knowledge here is the knowledge of Islam, the knowledge of Allah, the knowledge of the Sunnah, the teachings of Islam. And of course, the knowledge of the dunya, the worldly knowledge, is also something we need. So as it is important for us to seek knowledge. And by the way, this hadith of seeking knowledge being obligatory, this means that anything that is obligatory upon you in your religion, then it's obligatory for you to know how to act upon that. So for example, prayer. Prayer is obligatory upon every Muslim who has reached the age of puberty and is of sound mind. So if it's obligatory for you to pray, then it's obligatory for you to know how to pray, and what the conditions of prayer are, and what invalidates the prayer. The same for when Ramadan comes. If it's obligatory for us to fast, we should know how to fast and what invalidates our fast. And the same for those who are planning to go to Hajj, then it's also obligatory for them to know how to make Hajj. Because acting without knowledge is the main reason for us to go astray from the correct path. And as we said, the knowledge of the dunya as well, the knowledge of the worldly things, is also something very important and something that we need. And if we were to have people who know their religion well and also have good knowledge of the worldly affairs, like the knowledge of engineering and medicine, if we have knowledge of people of Islam and working in these fields, then no doubt this is a great thing. And as we know, for seeking knowledge, the obligatory things is obligatory. Also, to increase upon that is something that is highly beloved and highly recommended. It holds a great position with Allah, as He has praised the scholars and praised knowledge many times in the Quran. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that the scholars, or that the prophets, they don't leave behind them money. They don't leave behind them dirhams and dinars and worldly possessions, but they leave behind them knowledge. And that knowledge is the inheritance of the prophets. And what better inheritance can someone inherit than inheriting something from the prophets, who are the best of mankind, peace be upon them all. The scholars are also those who, without them, we would see, for example, whenever anyone has a problem in their life, or they need to know about how to do something, they go to the scholar, they come to the imam of the mosque, they go to the knowledgeable ones to learn about their religion. So if we didn't have scholars, then where would we go to learn about Islam? How would we know how to worship Allah if we didn't have these people to teach us? That's why having scholars is such a great possession. We need these things. We need scholars. And that's why they have such a high position with Allah. And the best way to seek knowledge, the best way to increase yourself in knowledge, is to read. Because this is what the first thing Allah ordered His Prophet to do in the Quran is to read. He said, "Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq." Read in the name of your Lord who has created. Then after a few ayahs in the same surah, Allah says, "Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram alladhi 'allama bil-qalam 'allama bil-insana ma lam ya'lam." Read and your Lord is blessed. He is the one who has taught you. He is the one who is taught by the pen. And He has taught what mankind did not know. And in another chapter in the Quran, called chapter of the pen, Surah Al-Qalam, Allah swears by the pen. It says, وَالْقَلَمِ وَمَا يَسْطُرُونَ, by the pen and what it inscribes. And whenever Allah swears by something, by any of the created things, like the moon and the sun, and the pen of course, then there's no doubt that Allah is teaching us about the importance of this thing. So now that we know that reading is the best way to seek knowledge, And of course, coming to lectures and coming to the Friday prayer and listening to speeches and watching videos, of course, these are all great ways of seeking knowledge. We don't advise you to read only without listening to the scholars. The scholars say whoever reads and doesn't check his knowledge with the scholars, then most of his knowledge is incorrect. So if we know that reading is the best way to seek knowledge, we need to ask ourselves, brothers and sisters, how many or how much of the day do we spend reading? Do we even spend, 10 to 20 minutes reading the Quran, the Islamic books? Or do we use our time watching TV, playing with our smartphones, listening to pointless things? We need to ask ourselves, where do we use our time? And there's no doubt that because of our laziness in this field of seeking knowledge and spreading correct knowledge, and this is all of us together, we're all part of one body, we're all included in this together. Because we spend our time doing other things than seeking knowledge, there's no doubt that this is one of the greatest reasons why we see many problems in the world today. Because most of the problems come from when people act upon no knowledge. And the decrease in knowledge means the decrease in the fear of Allah. As Allah has said, that the increase in knowledge increases people in the fear of Allah. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. The ones who are knowledgeable of Allah are the ones who are most fearful of Allah. This doesn't mean that you need to be a scholar to fear Allah. No, this means every time you increase yourself in knowledge, sincerely seeking this knowledge for the sake of Allah, then inshallah you will also increase yourself in the fear of Allah. And there's no doubt that the increase in the fear of Allah throughout mankind, then no doubt we will see an increase in righteous actions, we will see an increase in goodness throughout the world, we will see an increase in people leaving up bad actions. And that is all from the sake of knowledge. And we ask Allah to make us the people of knowledge, who learn Islam, who spread Islam authentically throughout the world, and guide mankind out of darkness and into light by the will of Allah. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.